friends, welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since we did any sort of book content on my channel. It is entirely because I have struggled desperately to do any free reading between my soul-sucking graduate class and the books that I'm teaching with my current students. I have not been left with much free time, but I have managed to read a couple of graphic novels and I wanted to talk about them with you. So let's go ahead and dive in. First one that I have is from Rainbow Rowell. I do not know if I have fully expressed to you guys how much I love her as an author. She is one of the few authors that I make it a point to keep up to date with her releases and then get my hands on them as soon as I can. I just love her as an author. And so I was walking through my school's library and saw this and I was like, what? I did not know girls coming out with a graphic novel. So essentially the premise of this story is that these two main characters on the cover here, you've got Josie and you've got Deja, I think is how you say her name. They essentially over the course of their high school career have worked at a local pumpkin patch. The premise is that they seem to go to different high schools, but they very much have bonded over working together. They're like your classic work friend couple, but they're not actually together. And the whole premise is this is like their last shift ever of the season and they're not going to work there again because they're going to be in college next year. And so Deja wants to spend the night making the most of their final time at the pumpkin patch. And Josie has been eyeing this girl for years and never made a move on her. So they basically spend the entire course of the graphic novel trying to find this girl, and Josie can be able to put the moves on her and leave nothing on the table. It's a really heartfelt, classic sort of rom-com type of graphic novel for young adult. I really love the illustrations in here. They are so beautiful and it just moved so quickly. I didn't want to put it down. I really enjoyed it. And I also enjoyed that there was essentially an interview or a conversation with both Rainbow Rowell, who wrote the story, and Faith Erin Hicks, who was I don't know if illustrator is the right word for a graphic novel, but I'm going to call her an illustrator, and basically their partnership. And it also showed some initial sketches of the two characters. I definitely wouldn't have purchased this. I don't think this is a book that is worth purchasing because I'm not going to reread it, but I enjoyed it while I had it, and I would definitely recommend picking it up from your local library. Even though we're beyond the fall season, I still think it's a fun read. I would still recommend it, and it's just another classically great Rainbow Rowell book. The other two graphic novels that I have are a part of a series called Tea Dragon. The first one that I got was Tea Dragon Society, which came in my Owl Crate, and I read it over the summer. This essentially was focused on a family who were welders, and the daughter in the family wasn't sure if she necessarily wanted to become a welder, but she met another person in her village, or I guess I'm going to go with person, but they're all kind of woodland creatures. She met another person in her village who essentially took care of tea dragons. And in this mythical world, essentially these little tiny dragons actually grow tea leaves, and based on what kind of dragon they are, they produce a certain kind of tea leaf, and they can also infuse memories in these tea leaves. And taking care of the tea dragons is both a privilege and a hardship. They are difficult creatures to care for, but I really loved this. I thought it was a really interesting premise, and I got caught up in both the simplicity and the complexity of the story. I just think that it has a lot of really powerful moments in here, and I just really enjoyed it. I also loved the illustration in here and thought it was just very beautiful and well done, and it kept my attention. Super short read, and I was just happy to have it in my Owl Crate box. I then don't know how I came across it, but then I learned shortly after I read the Tea Dragon Society that they were coming out with not a sequel, but a companion novel called The Tea Dragon Festival. Essentially, this one is basically a prequel to the Tea Dragon Society, and it's about a girl who doesn't discover a tea dragon, but discovers a real dragon who has fallen asleep off in the woods of her village. And it's all about like waking this dragon up and taking care of this dragon and like helping the dragon integrate into society because the dragon's been asleep for, I think, hundreds of years. This one was, as you can see, much longer than the first one that I had, and I actually ordered this off of Amazon. The illustrations in here are equally as beautiful, and I loved having the hard copy version because I feel like this one, the spine is already starting to kind of wear away a bit with it, and this one I think will be much more durable. And I also love seeing the pictures in a much bigger frame than what I had in the paperback. But I will say that I paid, I think, $17 for this off of Amazon. And for how quickly I went through it, I definitely wish I had exercised the library for this because I, in general, don't reread books. There's just so many books out there in the world that for me to pick up the same book I've already read and reread it doesn't happen very frequently. The only exception to that has been Twilight and Harry Potter. But even when I've reread those, I've never actually finished rereading the entire series. So I'm not going to reread this. And I definitely, while I loved having it, I probably should have rented it from the library and did not need to own it. But I'm really, really happy that I read both of these, and I would totally recommend them from your library as well. You know, for me, I'm much more of like a novel person by nature, and I think it could be because I don't think graphic novels were like the thing, or there weren't many of them out in the general public when I was, you know, in local bookstores as a kid or in the kids section of the library as a kid either, but I feel like graphic novels have come a really long way. My first dip into the graphic novel world was The Walking Dead, and I love The Walking Dead graphic novel, and so I've been much more open to reading more of them. Love Rainbow Rowell, definitely suggest it for like a teenage type of audience, and this is really great for kids alike, so I really, really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend all three of them to you. Alright guys, that is it for my thoughts on these graphic novels. I really don't know a lot about graphic novels, so based on hearing about these ones, if you have any recommendations for graphic novels you think I should read, please let me know in the comments, because I feel like at this point in my life, all I have time for are shorter end types of graphic novels. I really hope when the new year comes, I can get back to reading the novels that I love so much. But in the meantime, I enjoyed talking with you guys, and I'll talk to you in the next video real soon. Bye.